because those two guys are trying to form the Fight League. Oh, it's not called the Fight League, it's a league of boxing. And in order to do that, they need to make a couple of modifications to the Ali Act, which would give them the ability to um, dictate purses, which could be a good thing for the younger fighters. Um, and I've heard conflicting opinions on this potential thing. And the more I think of it, and to be honest with you, at the beginning, I was like, I don't know. But the more I think about it, the more I think it could work. And the reason why I think it could work is because once you get rid of these fighters that are fighting to survive, that are fighting because they think that, the opponent is brought in and they're not supposed to win and all this stuff, the opponent, once you get fights where the two combatants, the red corner and the blue corner, both know that they're in there with a guy that is pretty similar to themselves. Now you're fighting a little differently, aren't you? Now you're fighting to win. I think that a lot of the backlash that Terrence Crawford is getting right now is because of the thought of eliminating all these belts, okay, and having fighters refuse to pay sanctioning fees are only going to help the potential success of a boxing league, so to speak. Now, if the league, the way I understand it, the way it would work, and I've already predicted that a lot of these young fighters that you're seeing on the Turkey Al Rashid cards are going to be part of the pool of fighters that will become, fight league guys, boxing league guys. And these fighters are guaranteed minimum amounts per round. So now younger fighters might be making more money, but they'll be in tougher fights, but they'll be making more money, and so on and so forth. And that there'll only be one belt. So the champion of each division gets that belt. Nobody said anything about sanctioning fees. It's a league. The last I knew, when the two teams play for the Super Bowl title, the winner doesn't have to pay for the trophy. The NFL pays for the trophy. The league would pay for the belt. Okay? It's the same principle. I like it. I think it'll work. I think you'll get rid of the prima donnas. You'll squash the promotional organizations like the PBC. Okay. Dana White made it sound like he doesn't need other promoters. I don't know about that, but maybe existing promoters now would be a co-promoter, but they're not going to have that alliance with the sanctioning bodies, because let's face it, boys and girls, they do. I mean, Don King was buddies with the WBA for years. You know, um, I don't have anything against Don. I'm just using that as an example. How many fighters uh, do you see that are constantly winning specific belts and they're under the same promotional company? Why do you suppose that is? Because there's a promoters, they align with certain sanctioning bodies and they have a tendency to fight for those belts all the time. And their fighters all the time are the ones that are in the rankings. I think the league would work. I think not only would it work, it'll be better for the sport. It's going to take 5 or 6 years for it to get to that point, because what's going to happen is you're going to get these young fighters building themselves up, and the last of these fighters, let's just call them scabs, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm talking like a union person. If you're working for the Masons union, and your union loses a concrete job because there's some non-union guys underbid it, they're calling those guys scabs, or they're calling the guys that are in the union that cross the line and work for a non-union place, they're scabs. So that's why I refer to it. I not anything other than just the non-fight league fighter. So I think in a relatively short period of time, those that would work. So that's my thoughts on the league.